I stared at the text message on my phone, reading it for the third time. The words hadn't changed. Can't make it to your place for Thanksgiving this year, Dad. We're doing something smaller. Just us. You understand, right? Just us. The words felt like a slap. I'd spent 42 years raising my daughter Rachel. 42 years since the day she was born in that Vancouver hospital, when my late wife Claire squeezed my hand so hard I thought she'd break it. Claire had been gone for 9 years now, and Rachel was all I had left of her. I stood in my kitchen in North Vancouver, looking at the turkey thawing in the sink. 18 pounds. I'd ordered it 3 weeks ago from the butcher on Lonsdale. The same one Claire and I had gone to every Thanksgiving since we'd moved to this house in 1989. My phone buzzed again. Rachel's husband, Marcus. Hope you're not upset, Tom. Rachel just needs a quiet holiday this year. Work's been stressful. I'm sure you get it. I got it, all right. I'd been getting it for the past 7 years, ever since Rachel married Marcus Chen. Marcus worked in commercial real estate development, always talking about deals and investments and opportunities, always needing just a bit more to get over the hump. I walked to my study and pulled out the file folder I kept in my desk, the one Claire had insisted I maintain. Keep records, Tom, she'd said during her last months. People forget, even family. The papers inside told a story I'd been trying not to see. June 2018, $240,000 wire transfer for down payment on their house in West Vancouver. Rachel had called crying. Dad, we found the perfect place, but we're $40,000 short. The seller has another offer. Can you help? We'll pay you back. They never did. March 2019. $52,000 for kitchen renovations. Marcus had explained it was necessary to maintain the property value. Think of it as protecting your investment, Tom. September 2020, $38,000 for private school fees for their twins, Olivia and Nathan. Just until we get Marcus's bonus, Rachel had promised. That bonus apparently went toward a Tesla instead. December 2021, $67,000 to cover a bad investment Marcus had made in some tech startup. If we don't cover this, it'll ruin our credit. April 2023, $45,000 for a backyard renovation. Rachel had sent me pictures of the design. It looked beautiful. I wasn't invited to the completion party. October 2024, $28,000 to cover property taxes they couldn't pay because Marcus had invested too heavily in cryptocurrency. Total, $470,000, nearly $500,000 over 6 years. I'd paid for it all from the life insurance Claire had left me, from our retirement savings, from selling the cabin we'd owned in Whistler. The cabin where Rachel had learned to ski, where we'd spent every Christmas, until Claire got sick. I sat down heavily in my chair, the same chair where Claire and I used to read together in the evenings, where she'd held my hand during her last week when the hospice nurse came daily. Don't let them take advantage, Claire had whispered one night. I know you love her, but love doesn't mean letting yourself be used. I'd promised her I'd be strong, but when Rachel called crying, or Marcus sent those carefully worded texts about temporary setbacks, I'd caved every time. My phone buzzed. Not Rachel, not Marcus. It was my old colleague from the university, David Morrison. Tom, saw Rachel's Instagram. Looks like quite the Thanksgiving spread. Glad you're spending it with family. Instagram? I didn't have social media. Claire had always handled that stuff. But David's wife Linda was active online, always sharing photos of their grandkids. I called David back. What are you talking about? Linda showed me, he said. Rachel posted photos of her Thanksgiving prep. That dining room looks incredible. You're a lucky grandpa. After we hung up, I sat there, feeling something cold spreading through my chest. I walked to my computer and did something I'd never done before. I created an Instagram account. It took me 20 minutes to figure out the password requirements and verify my email. I found Rachel's profile. It was public. The most recent post was from an hour ago. The photo showed my daughter's dining room, the one I'd helped pay for. The table was set for 12, with autumn centerpieces and expensive china. The caption read, "Grateful for family and tradition. Hosting Thanksgiving for the people who matter most. Number, blessed, number, family first, number, Thanksgiving, 2024. I scrolled through the comments. Marcus's mother. Can't wait. See you Thursday. Marcus's sister. So excited for your famous turkey, Rachel. Rachel's response. Mom Chen's stuffing recipe is the star. Third generation family tradition. Mom Chen's stuffing recipe. That was Claire's recipe. The one her grandmother had brought from Ontario in 1952. The one Rachel had learned to make at Claire's elbow, standing on a step stool in our old kitchen. I kept scrolling. Photos from earlier in the day showed Rachel at the grocery store with Marcus's parents, all of them laughing. Marcus's father pushing a cart filled with wine bottles. Rachel hugging Marcus's mother in the produce section. The people who matter most. I closed the laptop. My hands were shaking. Not from age, I was only 63. In good health. Still swimming 3 times a week at the community center. But from something else. Something that felt like a dam breaking inside my chest. I picked up my phone and called Rachel. It went to voicemail. I tried, Marcus. Same thing. I sent a text. Saw your Instagram. Interesting guest list. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, Dad, don't make this weird. Marcus's family doesn't get to see the kids often. They live in Richmond, I typed back. 23 minutes away. I looked it up. No response. I tried calling again. This time Rachel answered. I could hear voices in the background, laughter, music. Dad, this isn't a good time. When is a good time, Rachel? When you need money. Silence. Then, that's not fair. You told me you were having a small, quiet Thanksgiving. Just the 4 of you. We are. It's just immediate family. I'm your immediate family, I said quietly. You know what I mean. Marcus's parents hardly ever get to. Rachel, I've given you nearly $500,000 over the past 6 years. Another silence. Longer this time. When she spoke, her voice was harder. We never asked you to keep track. Your mother told me to keep track. She was right. Don't bring Mom into this. She left that insurance money for both of us. For our future, I gave it all to you. And we're grateful, Dad. But you can't hold that over our heads every time you don't get your way. Something in my chest twisted. Is that what you think this is? Me not getting my way? Look, Marcus is calling me. We'll talk later. She hung up. I stood there in my kitchen, holding the phone. The turkey was still in the sink. The cranberries I'd bought were in the fridge. The sweet potatoes were in the pantry. I'd planned to make Claire's whole menu. Her stuffing, her green bean casserole, her pumpkin pie with the walnut crust. I'd planned to save the leftovers for Rachel, the way I did every year. She'd always come by on Friday to pick them up, usually with some excuse about why she couldn't stay, usually rushing off to Black Friday shopping or Marcus's parents' house. I walked to the sink and looked at the turkey. 18 pounds of wasted hope. I picked up my phone and called the North Shore Crisis Center. A woman answered. How can I help you? Do you serve Thanksgiving dinner? We do. We're always looking for donations. I have an 18-pound turkey, still frozen, cranberries, sweet potatoes, enough food for 15 people. Can you use it? Her voice brightened. Absolutely. We serve about 200 people on Thanksgiving. Every bit helps. I'll bring it tomorrow morning. After I hung up, I felt something loosen in my chest. Not relief exactly, but something close to it. I opened my laptop again and did a search for estate lawyers in North Vancouver. The first name that came up was Sarah Blackwell at Harborside Legal. Her website said she specialized in wills, trusts, and estate planning. 5-star reviews. 30 years of experience. I called her office. I expected voicemail, but someone answered. Harborside Legal, this is Monica. I need to make an appointment to revise my will. As soon as possible. Mr. Hendricks, Tom Hendricks, I can get you in Friday morning at 10. Would that work? Perfect. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Claire. About the last conversation we'd had about Rachel. She's going to need boundaries, Claire had said. She's always been our baby, but we didn't do her any favors by giving her everything she wanted. I just want her to be happy, I'd said. I know, but happiness doesn't come from money, Tom. It comes from knowing you've earned what you have, from being proud of yourself. I'd promised I'd be stronger. But after Claire died, when Rachel called crying about the house, about the renovations, about the school fees, I'd heard Claire's voice in every request. I'd seen Claire's face in Rachel's, and I'd written the checks. Friday morning, I drove to Harborside Legal. Sarah Blackwell was a woman in her late 50s, with sharp eyes and a kind smile. She shook my hand firmly. "Tell me what brings you in, Mr. Hendricks." I told her everything. The money, the Thanksgiving exclusion, the Instagram post. She listened without interrupting, taking occasional notes. When I finished, she leaned back in her chair. "You're not the first person to sit in that chair with this exact story. Adult children who see their parents as ATMs. It's more common than you'd think." "I enabled it," I said. "I know I did. Maybe. But that doesn't excuse their behavior." She pulled out a legal pad. "Let's talk about your current estate plan." I explained. Everything was left to Rachel in a simple will. The house, which was now worth $1.8 million after the Vancouver market boom. My pension, my remaining investments, about $320,000. The life insurance policy, another $500,000. Total assets approximately $2.6 million, she said. "And you want to change this?" "I don't know what I want," I admitted. "I'm angry. But she's still my daughter. She's still Claire's daughter." Sarah nodded slowly. "Let me ask you something. What would your wife want?" I closed my eyes. I could see Claire so clearly, sitting in her hospice bed, holding my hand. She'd want Rachel to stand on her own feet, to be strong, to not depend on handouts. "Then let's structure something that honors that," Sarah said. We spent 2 hours going through options. Finally, we settled on a plan. The house would be placed in a trust. Upon my death, it would be sold. 70% of the proceeds would go to the Claire Hendricks Memorial Nursing Scholarship at UBC, where Claire had trained. She'd always wanted to help young nurses afford their education. 20% would go to the North Shore Crisis Center, in memory of the Thanksgivings Claire and I had volunteered there before she got sick. 10% would be split between my grandchildren, Olivia and Nathan, but held in trust until they turned 30. They could only access it if they'd been financially independent for at least 3 years, no bankruptcies, no debt beyond a reasonable mortgage, no history of living off relatives. My investments in life insurance would be split the same way. Rachel would receive $10,000 cash. That was it. "Are you sure?" Sarah asked. "This is a significant change. You might want to take some time to." "I'm sure," I said. "When can we sign?" "I'll have the documents drawn up by Wednesday. We'll need 2 witnesses." I signed on Wednesday afternoon. Monica and another lawyer from the firm witnessed it. When it was done, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Not happiness, exactly, but something close to peace. I didn't tell Rachel immediately. Part of me was curious to see how long it would take for her to reach out. Thanksgiving came and went. I volunteered at the Crisis Center, serving turkey to people who thanked me with genuine gratitude. People who had nothing but were grateful for a hot meal. One of them was a woman about Rachel's age, with 2 kids. She thanked me 3 times, her eyes wet. "This means everything," she said. "My kids will remember this forever." I thought about Olivia and Nathan. Rachel's Instagram showed photos from Thanksgiving, the twins smiling at the table, surrounded by Marcus's extended family. Did they even notice I wasn't there? Had Rachel explained my absence? Friday passed. Saturday. Sunday. No call from Rachel. Monday afternoon, my phone finally rang. "Rachel. Hey, Dad. How was your Thanksgiving?" My hand tightened on the phone. "Fine. How was yours?" "Really nice. Quiet, like I said. Just what we needed." Her voice was light, casual, as if she'd told no lies, as if Instagram didn't exist. "Glad to hear it," I said. "So, listen. Marcus's end-of-year bonus isn't going to be what we expected. The real estate market's been slow. We were wondering if you could help us cover the property taxes this year. It's only about $32,000. Only $32,000. As if that was nothing. "I can't," I said. Silence. "What do you mean you can't?" "I mean I can't give you any more money, Rachel." "Dad, come on, don't be like this. We really need." "I know what you need," I interrupted. "You need to learn to live within your means." Her voice sharpened. "Is this about Thanksgiving?" "Because I told you, it was just a small family thing." "I saw your Instagram, Rachel. All of it." Long silence. "Then, you're on Instagram? 12 people. Marcus's whole family. Your famous turkey. Your family stuffing recipe. Dad, that was your mother's recipe. Her grandmother's recipe. You told Marcus's family it was theirs. It's just food, Dad. Don't be so." "It's not just food." My voice was louder than I'd intended. It's everything, Rachel. It's years of giving and giving and giving, and having you take and take and take. It's me being told I'm not family, not the people who matter most. That's not what I meant by that caption. You're being ridiculous. Am I? When was the last time you invited me to anything that didn't involve me writing a check? Silence. That's what I thought, I said quietly. Look, if you're going to be this way, I don't know what to tell you. We needed a peaceful holiday. Marcus's parents are very giving, very supportive. They don't keep score. That hurt more than anything else, she'd said. They don't need to keep score, Rachel. They haven't given you $500,000. Here we go again with the money. You know what, Dad? If you're going to throw that in my face every time we have a disagreement, maybe it's better if we just take some space. Maybe it is, I said. She hung up. I sat there for a long time, the phone in my hand. Part of me wanted to call back, to apologize, to smooth things over the way I always did. But I thought of Claire. I thought of Sarah Blackwell's words. Sometimes love means letting people face consequences. 2 weeks passed. Christmas was coming. Usually, I'd be shopping by now, spending thousands on gifts for Rachel, Marcus, and the twins. This year, I bought modest gifts for Olivia and Nathan, books and art supplies. Things that weren't expensive but were thoughtful. For Rachel and Marcus, I bought nothing. On December 15th, Rachel called again. I almost didn't answer. Dad? Her voice was strained. We need to talk. About what? Can we come over? Tonight? Something in her tone made me wary. Why? Just, please. It's important. They arrived at 7. Rachel looked tired, and Marcus looked worse. They sat on my couch, the one Claire had picked out at that furniture store in Burnaby, the one she'd loved because it was comfortable, not because it was expensive. What's this about? I asked. Marcus cleared his throat. We heard you changed your will. My stomach dropped. How did you hear that? David Morrison's wife mentioned it to someone who mentioned it to Rachel's yoga instructor. Rachel's eyes were red. Is it true? I should have known. Small world, smaller community. Someone at Sarah's office probably knew someone who knew someone. Yes, I said simply. Rachel's face crumpled. Dad, how could you? How could I what? Change how I dispose of my own assets. You're leaving everything to charity? What about me? What about your grandchildren? Olivia and Nathan will have access to a trust when they're 30, if they've learned to be financially independent. Marcus stood up. This is insane. That's our inheritance you're giving away. It's not your inheritance, I said quietly. It's my money. I earned it. Claire and I built it together. After everything we've done for you, Marcus said. I almost laughed. Everything you've done for me? Name one thing. He sputtered. Rachel stood up too. Dad, please, don't do this. We need that money. The house, the kids' futures. You have a house, I said. A $2.4 million house in West Vancouver. You can sell it and buy something more affordable. We can't do that. Nathan and Olivia are in school there. All their friends. Then you and Marcus will need to earn more money. Cut expenses. Live within your means. Rachel was crying now. You're punishing us. For one Thanksgiving. For one mistake. It wasn't one Thanksgiving, I said. It was years of being treated like a bank. Years of being excluded from your lives, unless you needed money. Years of feeling like I don't matter. You do matter. Then when was the last time you invited me to something? When was the last time you called just to talk? When was the last time you visited without needing something? Silence. Rachel looked at Marcus. Marcus looked at the floor. Your mother saw this coming, I said quietly. She warned me. She said I was enabling you, that I was hurting you by not letting you face reality. I didn't listen. I wanted to be the good father, the generous father, but all I did was teach you that I was a resource to be tapped, not a person to be loved. That's not true, Rachel whispered. Isn't it? Tell me honestly, Rachel. If I'd never given you $1, would you still come around? Would you still call? Would I have been invited to Thanksgiving? She didn't answer. I thought so, I said. Marcus's face had turned red. You're making a huge mistake, Tom. Family takes care of family. You're right, I said. Family does take care of family. But I'm done being taken care of. I'm done being used. They left angry. Rachel didn't hug me goodbye. Marcus slammed the door. I stood at the window and watched them drive away in their Tesla, the one they'd bought with Marcus's bonus instead of paying me back. I felt empty, but not regretful. The next day, I received an email from Rachel. Subject line, from your daughter. Dad, I'm heartbroken by what you've done. We're your family. Mom would be ashamed of you. Don't expect to see your grandchildren again. If you don't care about us, we don't need you in our lives. Don't contact us unless you're ready to fix this. Rachel. I read it 3 times. Then I saved it in a folder. Evidence, if I ever needed it, of how she really felt. I responded simply, your mother would be proud of me for finally setting boundaries. I love you, Rachel, but I won't be manipulated anymore. You're always welcome in my life, but not in my wallet. Dad. She didn't respond. Christmas came. I spent it volunteering again at the crisis center. I had dinner with David and Linda Morrison, who'd been my friends for 35 years. They didn't ask me about Rachel. They just made me feel welcome. On New Year's Eve, I received a card in the mail. It was from Olivia, my granddaughter. She was 14, old enough to write her own thoughts. Dear Grandpa Tom, I'm sorry about Mom and Dad. I don't really understand what's happening, but I miss you. I hope you had a good Christmas. I'm using the art supplies you sent. I made you a drawing. Hope you like it. Love, Olivia. Inside was a pencil sketch of a mountain. Our mountain. The one we could see from the Whistler cabin. The one she'd learned to ski on. I cried for the first time since Claire died. I wrote back immediately. Dear Olivia, thank you for the beautiful drawing. It's hanging in my study right now. I miss you too. I'll always be here if you need me. When you're older, if you want to talk, you know where to find me. Love always, Grandpa. I didn't hear from Rachel again, or Marcus. But that one card from Olivia gave me hope. Hope that maybe, someday, my granddaughter would understand. Would see that love isn't about money. That family isn't about what you can get from each other. It's about showing up, about being present, about valuing each other as people, not ATMs. I kept living my life. I swam 3 times a week. I volunteered every Thursday at the crisis center. I had dinner with friends. I started dating someone, Margaret, a widow I met at the community center. She'd lost her husband 5 years ago. She understood grief. She understood boundaries. One evening in February, Margaret and I were making dinner together in my kitchen. She was teaching me to make coq au vin, something Claire had never mastered. We were laughing about my terrible French pronunciation when she said something that stopped me. You know what I love about you, Tom? You're generous, but you're not a pushover. I looked at her. How can you tell? The way you talk about your work at the crisis center. You give, but you give wisely. You help people who genuinely need it. You don't enable destructive behavior. I thought about Rachel, about the years of enabling, about the wake-up call I'd finally answered. I wasn't always like that, I admitted. None of us are, she said. We all learn, usually the hard way. That night, after Margaret went home, I sat in Claire's chair with a cup of tea. I thought about the journey I'd been on, the pain, the anger, the slow acceptance. I'd lost my daughter, at least for now, but I'd found myself again. I'd found my backbone. I'd found the man Claire had married, the one who knew his worth, who didn't need to buy love. And maybe, someday, Rachel would find herself too. Maybe she'd learn that happiness doesn't come from what your father can give you. It comes from what you build yourself. From knowing you've earned your life through hard work and integrity. Maybe Olivia and Nathan would learn that too. I'd done what I could to ensure they had that chance. A trust that rewarded independence, not dependence. A legacy that honored Claire's values, not Rachel's entitlement. I looked at Olivia's drawing on my wall. The mountain, the symbol of challenges overcome, of heights achieved through effort. And I thought, this is what love looks like. Not giving people everything they want, but giving them the chance to become everything they can be, even if they hate you for it at first, even if it costs you everything. Because that's what real parents do. They prepare their children for a world that won't hand them anything. They teach them resilience, not dependence. They show them that self-respect matters more than comfort. Claire had tried to teach me that. It took me 9 years and $500,000 to learn, but I learned. And sitting there in my quiet house, with Margaret's laughter still echoing in my memory, and Olivia's drawing on my wall, I finally felt something I hadn't felt in years. I felt free, not happy, exactly. There was still too much pain for happiness, but free. Free from the burden of being an ATM. Free from the obligation to enable. Free from the lie that love equals money. Free to be just Tom Hendricks. Not Tom the wallet, not Tom the backup plan, just Tom. And that, I realized, was enough. That was more than enough. If you're reading this and you see yourself in my story, whether you're the one giving too much or the one taking too much, let me tell you what I learned. Real love requires boundaries. Real family respects those boundaries. And if someone only values you for what you can provide, they don't value you at all. It's never too late to start valuing yourself. It's never too late to say no. It's never too late to teach people how to treat you, even if they hate you for it, even if it costs you. Because in the end, the only person you have to live with is yourself. Make sure that person is someone you can respect.